Hi, Hi everyone. My name is Colleen. I'm a parent educator, and I'm here today to share with you a quick, easy tool that I use quite a lot in my daily life to calm my nervous system. I know that lots of us, myself included, find ourselves at home these days with more people at home than usual. Maybe your partner is home, maybe your kids are home from school, and we just have a lot of new routines and a lot of unexpected and unusual stressors in our lives. So I thought I just wanted to share with you one of the tools that I've been using on a much more regular basis lately to just help find my calm when I'm starting to feel a bit irritated or overwhelmed. Um, yeah, so, and if you'll pardon me, this is my first time using Facebook Live, so I'm just looking around a little bit at the technology and making sure everything looks like it's working properly, and I think it is working okay. So, excuse me, I'm deliberately keeping this practice short because, well, again, if you're anything like me and you are needing it most when you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I tend to not do my self-care or the things that I need to do to stay calm when I'm feeling overwhelmed because I also feel like I don't have time. So I'm going to keep this short, but you can make it as long or as short as you want when you're doing it on your own. So one thing I want to mention before we get started, and then we'll do it together, is that the key principle and idea or I guess piece of science, scientific research that is behind what I'm teaching today is the knowledge that in order for our kids to be calm, we need to be calm as well. So, and it's called co-regulation. So our children need to co-regulate with us. They can't regulate their nervous systems on their own, and um, they definitely can't regulate their nervous system if we are unregulated as well. They feel it and they need us to sort of anchor them or to be available in a calm state in order to calm themselves. So that's the basic underlying principle behind why we're using these practices to keep ourselves calm. And so with that in mind, let's just get started. The little tool that I'm going to teach you today is called Orienting. And it's really about bringing our mind and all of our attention as much as possible back into our senses and our sensory awareness. So often what happens when we're in an anxious state or a fearful state or any of the uncomfortable states that we're in when we're dysregulated, fearful, overwhelmed, we're often in our heads. For me especially, I'm a lot in my head, but we're often in our heads. And sometimes we're also worrying about, we're frustrated with our children's behavior. And usually what's underneath that is a worry about what's going to happen if they do such and such, or what's going to happen if, this child hits that child, or if they don't do their studies and pass their grade or whatever. There's something usually underneath it all that's related to a fear about what might happen in the future, right? And so we start to lose our ability to stay regulated. So I mention that because the tool that I'm teaching you today that's called Orienting is really about bringing us back into the present moment. So, so I'm going to invite you now to move your attention and your gaze away from the computer screen. You can still hear my voice. And I'd like to invite you to just slowly, without turning your neck really quickly, but slowly just turn your head and look around your environment. If you're inside, look around the room. If you're outside, look around the outdoors where you are. And allow your attention to fall onto something that draws your interest. And just stay with that item for a moment And I'm doing it with you, so you see my eyes off the, well, you won't see me, you're not looking. So just look at that object for a moment and notice whatever you notice about it. It might be something about the color, it might be something about the texture, it might be something else. Just notice whatever you notice. And after you've been there for, just a little bit, you can slowly turn your head again in another direction until your eyes rest on something else in the room. And just notice whatever you notice about that. The actual act of seeing something and bringing your focus into it and beginning to notice the details is something that's calming for the nervous system, because in the reptilian brain, in our brain stem, when we start to get an activated sympathetic nervous system, which is what happens when we go into a bit of fight or flight, the basic reptilian survival response is to scan our environment and to ensure that there's safety. So the act of actually turning your head slowly and seeing something and focusing on it for a tiny moment and then moving on to the next thing supports your nervous system to get the message that everything's okay. Now, as you're doing that, I'll invite you to also bring your attention, or to move your attention to the surface that is supporting you. So if you're sitting, that might be feeling the sensation of your seat on the chair or the sofa. It might be feeling the back of the chair behind your back and how nicely that supports you. And or your feet on the ground. And as you're doing that, just notice the places where you feel more pressure. There might be some places where your body feels a little bit heavier or more heavy or more firmly placed on the surface underneath you, just to notice. There isn't a right or a wrong. Just notice how beautifully the surface that you're resting upon supports you, and allow the surface that you're resting on to support you completely. And now take a moment to notice your breath. And when I say notice your breath, I mean just bring your attention to it without changing it, without making it right or wrong, just noticing. Is your breath in your chest or in your abdomen? Is your breath more in the front of your body or in the back, or is it equal? And again, it's just to notice, not to make it right or wrong. And then draw your attention to your jaw. Is there a little tightness in your jaw? Is your jaw relaxed? Is it possible to just, if there's a bit of tension, to just let it go, even just a little bit? And then bring your attention back to the surface that you're resting on. And then bring your attention back to your seeing your environment. Maybe back to your computer screen right now so that you can see me. So that was a little longer than a couple of minutes. We're almost at 10 minutes here. I did a little bit of explaining, so it takes a little bit longer. But I use this frequently every day. Sometimes I just take half a minute or a minute, Maybe you slip into the bathroom and you do it for a moment if you're feeling frustrated. Maybe you do it for a moment while you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or for a moment before you get out of bed in the morning. You really can use it anytime for as short or as long as you want. And it's a lovely exercise or practice to use out in nature as well to really help yourself get grounded in your senses. So that's all for today. If you have something else that's related to nervous system regulation and parenting that you'd like me to address, please just comment below, and I'd be happy to do that. I will be doing probably at least one video with another tool or two in the next week or so. So check back if that's of interest to you. I hope this has been helpful. Goodbye for now.